Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon, students. We will wait for 2 minutes. Let's see anybody are interested to join, and I will wait for 1 minute and see. Okay, today we will discuss handling dynamic web project. Okay, so how in the previous class we discussed how to create the project and how to create the files and what is a welcome file, and after the welcome file how we are navigating between the two files, okay, from one page to another page. Okay, so now we will discuss about the form handling. Today we will discuss about the form handling. So we'll wait for 1 minute. Okay, so I will start the class. Ding. Wait. Okay, thank you. I think nobody will join the class. So, okay, let me start the class then. Uh, Today's class is about the form handling in the JSP. Okay, well, let me share my screen first. Okay, now yesterday we created one project, yeah, training JSP project, which is a dynamic web project. So inside the dynamic web project, inside the main, inside the web app, we need to create the files of the JSP files. Okay, so first when we want to run the project, okay, which file has to open when we run the project? It has to be give the address in the web.xml source in the welcome file list. Okay, here I given the welcome.jsp page, so it's executing this welcome.jsp page. So from one page to another page by using the anchor links, we are navigating through the one file to another file. Now, today we'll discuss about the form handling. What is actually form handling means? Like we want to collect the data from the user. Okay, so the web application means what? So we are creating one web application, so just like an e-commerce or the service application. So okay, so we need to take the input from the user, what the customer or the client or the user want to search in our application or looking for in our application. So we want to take the user input through the web form, so to get the data, okay, to collect the user data from the user and to use that data and the process and to respond to that data. Okay, so this will handle by the form handling. So form handling is a process of collecting user input from a web form, okay, in the web form, and using JSP pages to retrieve that data and process that data and to respond to that input, whatever the input they have given. So we need to respond to that, right? So this all will happens in the form handling itself. So when a user fills out the form in the web form and click on the submit, then the browser will send that form data to the server. Okay, so then our JSP process will be using like we have the request.get parameter. So to get the data of the user given input in the web form. Okay, so then we will retrieve that data and we will process that data. Okay, this is all happens in the form handling. So let me share my notepad also. So I will write down the definition first. Second. Yeah. Now, what is today's class? Form handling, right? Form handling in JSP. Okay, so form handling is nothing but it is a process. It is a process of collecting. Okay, it is a process of collecting user input from a web form. Okay, and using our JSP files. Okay, using JSP pages to retrieve the data, to retrieve and to process the data and to respond to the input, respond to that input, to that input. So respond to that input. So when a user fills when a user fills out a form, okay, when a user fills out a form and clicks submit, okay, click submit, the browser will send the form data to the server in our local server, okay. Then where we use JSP to process that data by using we have the request model, right? Request dot get method parameter. Okay. So by using the request dot get parameter, okay, by using this request dot get parameter, we will retrieve the whatever the user has entered in the form. Okay, we will retrieve that data from the form. Okay, web form. Initially we create one form in the web page. Okay, so then when the user enters the data into that form, we will take that data. When he clicks the submit, okay, it will send the data to the client server. Okay, send the data to the server. Then that whichever the data was sent to our server, by using the request.get parameter, we retrieve that data and process the data. So this is how all the form handlings will be done. So why we need the form handling actually means to take the user input. Okay, so why we are taking the file, why we are using the file form handling. So to take a user, to take that user input, just like a name or email or age or etc. Anything. Okay. So to take the user input, yeah. Uh, uh, to process the data. Okay. To like to save or to validate or to check or to use the data. Okay. For any manipulations of the data or to use in a logic. Okay. To process that data. Okay, so we can say like we can save the data and we can do the validation of the data and we can use in a logics. Okay, etc. And when you take the data and when you click on the submit, you can also as I explained, okay, here it will send the data to the server. Then so from the server we take the data and we process the data whichever they're given, and we will send the data. So this is happening, okay, so this is all happening in the dynamically. So to respond dynamically when the user given the input, we are responding. So that is called as a dynamically communication between the web and the client. Okay. So to respond dynamically, when he enters like login and password, so we will send though when the username and the password is correct. So we will give an example like displaying a welcoming message. Okay. Or if the credentials are wrong, we will say like login credentials are invalid. So we are responding to the dynamically. To respond dynamically in our JSP, we use the form handling. So here we can send server, sorry, here to respond dynamically. Okay, to respond dynamically, and you can take the example of welcoming message. Okay, welcoming message. Now okay, now I said what is form handling and why we use. Okay, but how it actually works in the web. Okay, in our web we use the forms in the web only, right? So it's known as a web form. So when the user will give the data in the form in a browser. Okay, when you click on the submit, I also explained in the here also. Okay, so listen carefully. This is very important. Okay, most of the web applications works on the form itself. So when you want to take the data from the user, we need particularly form handling. So how actually the form works are when the user enters the data in the form web, okay, in the browser. When you click on the submit, the data will be sent to the server side pages. Okay, here what are the server side pages are JSP pages. Okay, we are returning the JSP pages. So that JSP pages will read the data by using, I explained it, okay, request dot get parameter. By using the request dot get parameter, the JSP pages will read that data. Okay, then that JSP will generate dynamic HTML using the input. So based on that data, we are processing that data and we will generate the dynamic HTML to that input. So this is how the form cycle works. Okay, so it will fill the data, and when you click on submit, it will go to the data to the server side pages, and that server side pages will retrieve the data, okay, by using the request.get parameters. Then it will generate a dynamic response to the data. Okay, so this is in a circular motion. Now let me give you one example, or let me give the how forms works. Okay, so then first the user fills a form, okay, in a browser, and just giving the detailed explanation of an each and every step. And on submit, the data is sent to server side. Okay, so listen carefully, server side pages which are nothing but the JSP files only. Okay, JSP files. Now these JSP pages will read the data by using a request dot get parameter method. We have the method like get parameters. Okay, so we need to give that parameter name in that bracket so that it will take the our data from that inputs. Okay, the last and final is add JSP pages which process the data will generate, okay, what we can say, generates dynamic HTML using that input, whatever the input as user sent. Okay, that will generate that data. Okay, so now we have some basics like a syntax of the form. Okay, so it is same as it is a basic HTML form. Okay, so I think you know most of the HTML, but see, let me give you the basic form, basic like a basic HTML page itself. Okay, a basic HTML form, we can call it as a form, and we have to take the form tag. Okay, we have to take the form tag, and this is an end tag of the form. Okay, so inside the form tag we have the attributes name as an action. Okay, and we have the attribute name as a method also. So inside these form we need to write the input tags. We need to write the input tags and what type of the tag we need to implies it is text or a number or anything. Okay, and we need to give the tag name, both that input tag name. So let me give the name as the username or something, anything. Okay, and here again I'm taking the input. Okay, and input I'm taking that as a submit button. Okay, submit. So here we have the submit and we are giving the value further. And if you want to value the name, if you want to change the value from submit to the login, okay, you can give the value here itself. So this is a basic syntax of the form. Okay, basic HTML form. Okay, here important attributes are an action and the method and the name. Okay, so for the form, in the form we have the two attributes which are most importance in the form. Okay, so here the action will, when you click on submit button, okay, when you click on the submit button, that where it has to go, where it has to go, which means the targeted JSP page to send this all the form data, whichever the data you are taking from the user using the form handling. Okay, so when you click on send, okay, when you click on the submit button or send or a login, okay, so that web page will send all the data from the user to the targeted page. So here we need to declare that target page where it has to send the data of a form. Okay, of a form. So here we have the method. Okay, so these are the HTTP methods which are nothing but get and post, and we will discuss that in the later classes. Okay, and here are the name. Here the name, based on the name itself we can retrieve the data of a particular input. Okay, here I given the name as a username, so the user will enter the username in this form. Okay, username in this form. So if you want to retrieve that username, so based on this name itself we need to retrieve. So here I said, right, request dot get parameter. So inside this get parameter method we need to give the name of that input tag, input or text data, whichever the tags we have. Okay, we need to give the name of the tag so that whatever the values are entered by the client or user or the customer, okay, that has to be retrieved by using the names. So name is a key used to retrieve the data in the JSP pages. So let me give the important attributes as IMP attributes, or let me give the important form attributes. So important form attributes are an action. Okay, the action is nothing but a target JSP page, target JSP page to send form data. Okay, this is one of the attribute, and we have method. Okay, so this is an HTTP method, HTTP method, and it is in a get or post. Okay, and we have the name attribute. We have the name attribute. This is a key used to retrieve the user to retrieve data in JSP. Okay, so this is about the important form attributes. Okay, so now we will as I said, right, so we will retrieve the data by using the request dot get parameter. So here the request is an object, okay, to access to the user input. So and inside these get parameter, we need to give the name of that attribute in the HTML form input. Okay, whatever the input we have, we need to give that name in that field. Now, okay, then let me explain about this also. HTTP get method and the post method. So it will complete the form handling so that we will create one examples of that class, basic examples, and after that I will in the tomorrow's class we will do some real-time examples with the form handling. Okay, so how we take the input and how we process the data and how we are sending the data by like some small programs, by doing averages or additions or subtractions or multiplications. Okay, small data, but it makes you understand how the form handling works. Okay, so let me give you the brief idea about the get and post method here. Okay, in this method attribute we need to give the get method, okay, or the post method in this method when you are taking the form in your pages. Okay, so what are the major differences between get and the post? Okay, so when you use the get method, okay, when you use this get method in the form, okay, and here I am giving one I or let me take the okay, I'm just taking one valid.jsp page. Okay, valid.jsp page, or let me give you example with the okay in the Eclipse itself. Now here in the yesterday we have kept welcome, right? So I will create this index.jsp. So when I run the project, it will open this file. Okay, now I will create one anchor tag and to open the form handling. Okay, form, I'm just giving the heading as a form handling. So before that we need to create the project, we need to create the one file, right, to give show that file form. So I'm creating JSP form exam, okay, example. So click, so form example. So inside this, okay, I will take the form, I will take the form. I just taken one form. Okay, so this is a form. Now here as I said, we have the two attributes, name as an action. One is an action, and one we need to take the method. Okay, inside this method we need to declare which is it is in a get or in a post. Okay, inside this I am taking one input, and I'm typing as input type equals to, let me take the type as okay text, and let me take the name as name itself, name of the person. Okay, and I'm taking another input tag. Okay, input tag, we use input tag to take the data in the text or a number or age, okay, in the text areas. These are different types of tags to take the input from the user, and this type I'm taking as a number and name that as a age. So and we have the input, okay, input and the type as a submit. Okay, it will submit the form, and I'm just taking as a value to send the data of my age and name. So here we have created one successfully form. Okay, let me run this and let me show you how it's working. Okay, so you have to finish. So let me share this one. Okay, See here, we can see one click here to attend the class form handling, but see, it doesn't showing any. See here, we have the form handling, but it not giving you any hand gestures because we didn't given the address of that form handling page. See here, it's giving hand gesture, but not here. So let's go into the Eclipse and see in our ind.jsp. See here, we are given just the name of the anchor tag, but we didn't given any address to where the target page has to go. Okay, so targeted JSP page. See inside the anchor tag, I'm taking H references as an attribute. So in the H reference attribute, we need to give the address of the targeted JSP file. So here, what is a targeted JSP file? Form exam.jsp. So form example.jsp. So here I'm taking form example.jsp. Okay, now let me refresh that. Okay, see, when I refresh, it getting me the and gesture. Okay, so to break that line, we are using a BR tag. Okay, let me give. See here, we are getting the form handling. So when I click it on the form handling, see here, I can see the two input boxes. Okay, two input boxes and one send button. Okay, and one send button. So we'll go back, and when we click on the form handling, we can see the two input boxes and the send button, but we don't know what actually the user has to enter here. So we need to say something for the user to enter like his name or age. Okay, so we need to give. So for that, here we will use a label tag. Okay, so to label that input box, we are taking the label tag and I'm saying as enter name. Okay, so after the name, again I'm taking the label tag to enter age. I'm saying then to enter age and enter name. Okay, so let me save this and let me refresh this once again. See here, now we can see that enter name and enter age. This is in a basic HTML. Okay, so when I enter the data, see I'm entering my data and age as E3. Okay, sorry, 23. And when I click on the submit button, see it just refreshed. It just refreshed. But when I click on the send button, it's going to the targeted. Here I didn't given anything, so it will come to this page itself. Okay, so it's just refreshing this page. Okay, now where we are discussing about the get and okay, get and post method. So here in the get and the post method, so when you use the form within a get method, okay, so whatever the data is there, it will appended in the URL. Okay, it will appended in the URL. So let me show you here. See here, I am using the get method. Okay, I'm using the get method, and okay, let me use it here itself, get method. Okay, and let me see here, I am refreshing the data. Now here I will take the data as Radha and the age as some 23. Okay, when I click on the submit button, see in the URL my name and the age are visible. Okay, so which means whatever the data you are using in that form, okay, in that form, that data will be visible in the URL, which will appended actually with the URL. So data visibility in the get will be appended in the URL. So we will try with the post method. Okay, we will try the data with the post method. Let me save this and let me run this again. Okay, so let me refresh this. Refresh, and I am entering Radha and age as some 25. Okay, now click on send button. See, this is in a previous data because here now I have given the age as a 25, not the 23. So this is in a previous link. Okay, then let me. Okay, here refresh this. Go to the form handling, and here I am giving the name as Banu and age is some 25. Okay, send button. See here, I send the data. Okay, I send the data. When I click on the submit button, the data will be sent. But here we didn't give any targeted JSP page, so it's just refreshing that page. But whatever data I have given, that is not appending in the URL because I have used the post method. Because I have used the post method. So the post method will what actually it does means the whatever the data is there that will be sent in the requested body. Okay, in the requested body. So when you use the get method, the data will be appended in the URL. So in the security wise, when you use the get method, it will be less secure because whatever the data you are using, that will be visible in your address bar, like in the URL bar. So when you are taking any sensitive informations or a security purpose informations, okay, so you don't need to use the get method, but you can use a post method because whatever the data it is there, it will be sent in the request body, so it will be more secure. Okay, so it will be more secure. But when you use a post method, okay, but when you use the post method, the one of the disadvantages, you can't bookmark that page. Okay, you all know, right, the bookmarkable. Okay, so but in the get, it will be possible. Okay, it will be possible to bookmark that particular pages. Okay, so why we where we use this get and post. Okay, so if the post is more secure, okay, if the post is more secure and get is less secure, why we use the get? Okay, in the searches or in the filters or in any links we use the get, but in the post we use we like in the methods in the forms. Okay, like login or registrations or any form submissions, okay, we use a post. But when you want to search the data, okay, when you want to filter the data, or when you want to click on the links or from the links, okay, so there we use a get. But in the post we use it for login, registrations or form submissions. And the data limit also, okay, so in the get also the data limited is about like 2048 characters. Okay, but in the post there is no limit. Okay, it depends on different servers configurations, but the post has no limit. But it also depends on the server, okay, server configurations. But in the get, it has a limit of the data. Okay, so it only limits up to the data of 2048 characters. 2048 is nothing but 2048 characters. So there is a huge difference between the get and post. Okay, let me give some small points in the notebook. Okay, so here, how can I distinguish between these two? Let me give that like a future. And what is the future? What is the future in the get, and what is the future in the post? Okay, what is the future in the post? Now come to the future number one, which is nothing but a data visibility. Okay, data visibility. Now in the data visibility, in the get, the data will be appended. Okay, appended in the URL. But what about the post? The post, the data will be sent in the request body. Okay, request body. And the second feature we have the security. Okay, for security, what about the get? It is in a less secure, less secure. But what about the post? It is in a more secure one. Okay, more secure. And yeah, bookmarkable, we can say bookmarkable. So when you want to bookmark any page, okay, in the get we can bookmark that page, but in the post we can't bookmark any pages when you use the method as in a post. Okay, what are the use cases where we can use the uh, get method? As I said, you can use it in the search operations, okay, or you can use it in the filters, or you can use it in the links, okay. And for the posts, you can use it in the login, you can use it in the registration, basically all the form submissions, okay. You can say as a form submissions, and we have the data limit, okay. We have the data limit also, okay. In the get we have the limited, okay, limited like what is that, 2040, right? Yeah, about 2048 characters. I don't know exactly number, but nearly 2040, okay, characters. mm, Sorry. In the post, there is no limit, but based on the configuration, like it depends, based on the server configuration there might be difference, okay. So mostly there is a no limit in the post method when you use that post method in the form, okay. So this is a major differences between the get and the post, okay. Get and the post. So the JSP will handles that data by using whatever the data we are sending in that form, okay. That data will be retrieved in the JSP file by using the request dot get parameter, okay. Request dot get parameters. So okay, I think that's good for today. Okay, tomorrow we will discuss we will discuss some examples. Along with that, I will show you how we take the input and how we retrieve the data and how we display that output to based on that input. Okay, so if you have any doubts regarding anything, okay, from today's class, you can ask me. I will just wait. Sorry, I think nobody's there, right? So if anybody have any issues or any errors regarding doing all this practicing, okay, you can just ping me in the WhatsApp, or you can attend to the class and you can chat in the chat box window, okay. Okay, then thank you guys.